Hello, I'm Jody, Wolfe, and you're watching Expoz on December 4, 2019, 12:11 a.m. in Birmingham. And the topic, I want to go back to multiple short subjects and talk about one thing I talked about there years ago, and I'm really talking like a long time ago, 30 years, 28 years, that Jack Van Impe used to answer, and probably still does, questions that people send in, and Rex Sala reads and he answers the questions. One of those were, do you believe there was other civilizations before us? And Jack Van Impe said resounding yes. They were far superior than what we are today, far more than we've ever been able to even come up with or think of. And Steve Quayle said the very same thing. And I can't think of the gadgets they have found, but one is something that was so big that would tell you where the stars were and depicting each month, down to each day, even each new moon, and so forth. And it worked off of a star system, a cluster of stars, Orion, that even today we can't produce that. So this thing had to have been, according to both men, actually, I don't think at the time it was discovered Jack Van Impe had known that. I believe it was after that, about 30 years ago. But in any case, Steve Quayle said that you can't make that thing today. There's a lot of things you can't do. You can't move these 20, 30, 40-ton blocks up a mountain. You can't cut them, move them 40 miles and build you a castle, build you a wall, build you a road, or build you a pyramid. There's things we can't do that they could do. So, but I have a question, and I've thought about this before, but I'd always shoo it out of my mind because it's a crazy idea, but it may not be. And the question is, what God created, have there been multiple civilizations or just one other that may be millions of years back? Could be further back than that. Because remember, started out in our Bible, Jack Van Impe said, let there be no, God said, let there be. But the earth was without form and void. And then he goes to start over on it. And that left the question, is there a gap theory? So a lot of people think that there was, and thought that there was a fairly big one. And that, so when God destroyed the world by water, he put the bow in the sky and promised man, I'll never destroy the earth by water again. Now, does again mean that he's already done it one time prior to this one? We don't know. But here's what I want to get at, more than everything. Angels that rebelled, what they looked like, and then how they seem to react when Jesus was on the cross. Keep in mind, you had a Trinity. God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. They created everything. Everything. Go back to the first creation of perhaps billions of people. Now, that's where I want to change my mind and say, was it billions of people? Was it billions of other creatures? Because, reason I'm saying this, because God says, let us create man in our image, as if he's saying it for the very first time. And didn't say it when his first creation. But now he's saying, let's create man in our image. That's something that I've been thinking about for a long time, by the way. And put the angels that fell from grace and God's creation of Adam and Eve, and then their offspring. You know, you got thousands and tens of thousands, perhaps millions of women on earth by this time, when all these angels came down and rebelled and mated and had children with daughters of men that were called Nephilim. So let's fast forward. And they thought that they were absolutely beautiful, and I don't recall a mention of anything like that prior to the earth was without form and void. So when you get into the point, 2,000 years ago, we don't know the exact number of years. Some people say 2030, some say 2033. That doesn't change the time that the final 7 years will begin, because Jesus said it is that generation that took Israel back in 1948 will see the time. And if by good measure, good health, and making God proud and doing certain things, they'll be extended by 80 years. So we passed the 70-year point. Now we're going in toward the 80. And there's only 8.5 years left. Actually, 8 years. And so a year from now, I'm sorry, maybe it's not 8, maybe it's 9. But a year and a half, we got to be out of here so the tribulation can begin. We got to be gone at the latest. But here Jesus is on the cross. And he looks like, hamburger meat, really. And the angels that he could have called down, keep in mind, a legion of angels is some people say 6,000 angels is a legion. He could have called 12 legions, 72,000 angels. And they had to have been all around him, seeing him go through what he was going through, because that's their creator on that cross. That's their God. And they're waiting because they're going to come and rescue him. Keep in mind, 6,000 angels per legion, 12 legions, at minimum. That's at minimum he could have called. And they would have been like, boom, right on top of him, and his pain would have been gone instantly. He had been off that cross, and everybody probably within 1,000 miles would have been dead. But he didn't. He didn't. And each angel, you got to understand, each angel can take on and kill up to 225,000 soldiers in battle armor, and do it in a single few hours, like they did. And so I know I've hit 3 high points there, that's just things that's been on my mind. Did God have only one creation of beings before us, or were there 2? And are we the only ones that God created that we're in his image? That kind of makes me feel that Jesus leaving the glory of heaven, going away, he's not there. He's born of a virgin. He grows up. He's nailed to a cross after he's beaten with a cat o' nine tails. that tears his hide off the bone, nail him to the cross, put a gouge of thorns on his head that just on top of insult to injury. All these angels could have stopped that at any moment. All of them were there. They noticed this is their creator right here. And every one of them was probably like when you have your first baby, your first child, and you're there when that child takes the first 5 or 6 steps. You have your arms under her or him. And as they walk along, they don't fall, but you're ready to catch them. These legions of angels, 72,000 at a minimum, were doing just that to Jesus, right with him. We got you, just call us, we got you. And by the fact that he didn't call them, he died. And you know, angels probably shed a lot of tears. And God raised him on the 3rd day. And even the angels in heaven partied. They didn't know. There wasn't a Bible prior to that day. That hadn't been written yet. So they didn't know. And did God tell them, look, I'm going to raise my son on the 3rd day? We don't know that. We just know that Jesus said he had 12 legions of angels, 72,000, and each angel can wipe out and kill 225,000 men in a single few hours. So were we God's only creation that was made in God's image? If so, I believe that's why the importance put on us. I believe that's why Jesus died to save us, all of us, from our sins. He's gone out on 100 limbs, way more than that. And someone announced, said, yeah, that was angels protecting you. I know it was. Poor guys, I keep them busy. When I'm out doing things, I keep them busy. But were we the only created beings that were made in God's image? Keep in mind, everything he created down through Genesis until he got to chapter 2, verse 21, somewhere in that 19, let there be fish, and let them have offspring in their likeness. Let there be beasts of the field and offspring in their likeness. Everything, offspring in their likeness. And then it got to man. Are we that important? And are we the last creation ever? We don't know that. But as far as importance, if our God left the throne, came down here and died on the cross, you doggone right we're that important. And who are we to turn that into a negative that so many people are doing today? Lord God, don't do that, guys. We're going to leave soon. Jody, Wolfe, Expoz.